Forget what you know about Amazon. Amazon, ladies and gentlemen, has won e-commerce, and they've done it by being different and by being AI, machine learning oriented. Human interaction is not a value to them. Relationships do not matter, and they are not your friends. Federal agencies and bad actors and regulation are driving many of the changes that you might think are coming from Amazon directly. And they're spinning up AI bots to take you down if you're not following the rules. And sometimes when you have followed the rules and they've made a mistake. This episode is about how Amazon really works with no fluff and no BS. So buckle up and let's go. I'm Jason Boyce, founder and CEO of Avenue 7 Media and host of the Day 2 podcast. With me today is Shannon Roddy, Amazon strategist extraordinaire, educator, and business development lead for Avenue 7 Media. Shannon, how's it going today?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited. I've had so many great client calls today. It's something you and I are both so passionate about. You hear about a brand owner, an innovator, and a founder, and it's just like, it just gets your juices running. So I'm pumped. I've had a super busy day, but I've got more energy than I started off with for sure.
I'm with you, Shannon. I actually had a call with a prospective client today and said, you guys are so good, you don't need us. How often do we say that? That never happens. These guys are really, really good and really proud of the business that they've built, and told them I'm going to be their biggest fan now. So glad. It looks like we're both having a good day. So we're
both having a good day.
Today we're talking about how Amazon really works. Shannon, you and I have been living this day in and day out. It's part of our DNA now. We get it. But I'm always fascinated, interested when folks that haven't been privy to Amazon or been at this front row seat like you and I have for so many years, how they just don't quite understand. So we're going to do some educating today. I know that's part of your title. So we're going to do some of that today. Okay.
Absolutely.
Looking through my show notes here, there's really 4 things that we want to cover today. I'm going to talk about them. Then we're going to go and take each one. And then after we're done talking about them, we're going to tell everyone what we talked about. Okay. That's what they taught me in the Marines in terms of giving presentations. And that's how we'll roll it out today. Number 1, you have to make the A9 algorithm happy. We'll talk more about that. Number 2, AI at Amazon replaces people and repetitive processes. And frankly, they do it better than just about anyone. Number 3, hacks. If you're out there thinking you're smarter than Amazon because someone on YouTube told you to try this new hack, you're not. You're not smarter than Amazon. And they will come and get you, and you will pay a heavy price eventually. Number 4, you think Amazon's making changes because they're good, they got a good soul, and they want to do what's right by small businesses and sellers like you. You are wrong. What's making the change over at Amazon are federal agencies. They are driving a lot of the headaches that are feeding the bots that are making your life miserable. And number 5, newsflash, Amazon doesn't care about your feelings, only the feelings of their customers and frankly, their investors. And even then, they don't care about their investors. They care about their customers, not your feelings. All right, Shannon, that's the 5 things we want to cover today. Where should we start?
Let's start with the A9 algorithm. One thing a lot of people don't know is what A9 stands for, and it's shorthand for the word algorithms, A plus 9 digits. That's why it's named the A9 algorithm. And A9 powers the primary algorithm that determines things like search rank, but they also have algorithms that delve into every aspect of the Amazon platform. But let's start with that rank, right? So just like on Google determined your website relevance by page rank. They called it page rank. And they'd say, okay, just like a scholarly journal, depending on how many people point to your page, we know how credible it is. And if people click on a page and stay there and read a while versus clicking back, that means it's more valuable. The customer found it more valuable. Well, Amazon has developed its own algorithm, but they don't care about how long you stay on a page. They only care about one thing, and that's getting the sale. So why don't you, I know you got a couple of stories. Why don't you tell a story that illustrates how the A9 algorithm impacts real clients?
Shannon, before I start, that A9 algorithm, that's such a great point. Amazon said this to me a decade ago when they were first launching sponsored ads. Facebook knows what you like. They got to keep you on that page so they can keep serving you ads. Google knows what you search. They're still making their lion's share of their money from PPC, clicks, and search. They got to keep you searching. But Amazon knows what you buy. And that made all the difference. That's one of the many reasons why they won e-commerce. I always laugh, Shannon, because you're absolutely right in terms of the definition of the A9. I always laugh when someone says, oh, it's A10 now. No, it's not A10. This isn't a version thing.
Algorithms.
It's an acronym for the word algorithm. So there's been many sort of algorithm updates. I'm going to talk to you about one that was near and dear to my heart, Shannon. I don't remember what year it is. I think it might have been 2013 or 2014, but it was at a time when Amazon was doing was sort of the beginning of the cleanup, right? What I call the great cleanup. And it was October, just before the holiday selling season. I had just purchased millions of dollars of inventory. It was sitting in my warehouse. Why did I purchase millions of dollars of inventory? Because historically, over the last 10 years, that same inventory had sold like hotcakes year in and year out for a decade. Well, October rolls around. We start to get a little nervous, Shannon. There's no sales. No sale, like not little sales, like goose egg,
No sales,
zilch, nada, not a single sale on a whole host of foosball tables, air hockey tables, basketball hoops, stuff that already had started to pick up by October, leading into the November and the December holiday selling season. And, there was a little pucker factor. So enter into November and there's still goose egg, zero sales. And we're trying to figure out what's going on. We're looking at the buy box and our buy box percentage dropped to 0. This particular inventory or chunk of inventory that I'm talking about was other people's brands. We weren't selling it as an exclusive, but there was a small handful of authorized sellers. We were one of 3 or 4.
Right.
And we got no buy box. And so, I started picking up the phone in a panic, calling all my contacts at Amazon, visited their headquarters, talked to them and said, look, I'll help you with this if you help me with that. I actually got somebody at Amazon to tell me, yeah, there's a bug in the algorithm. Because that's what I was saying, Shannon. I was like, hey, right. Amazon, you screwed up. Your algorithm's broken. And I got 2, not 1, 2 people at Amazon with an @amazon.com email to agree with me. Yeah, wow. Clearly there's something wrong here. You're getting no market share. Let me do a deep dive here and figure this out. So, middle of November, we're already in Thanksgiving and I'm in a near panic because, we've already lost about $1.5 million in sales with that inventory. It just didn't happen. It didn't materialize. And so I get a phone call. It's almost like right before Thanksgiving dinner, one of those phone calls. And the same person that told me that their algorithm had a bug tells me, I'm sorry, it's not a bug. I'm not supposed to be having this conversation with you right now because the Amazon A9 algorithm that you just described is a black box and we're not supposed to share it. But Amazon has made a change. And because you have a portion of your business that's drop shipping, that's shipping late, that has pre-fulfilled ordered cancellations, we've kicked you out of the buy box for all of your products. And I went, holy shit. I've got millions of dollars in dropship inventory that I'm expecting as well. And I'm sitting on, I got nothing. And I got payables for this inventory that I bought that I've got to make. Shannon, long story short, we lost $5 million in sales that holiday season. $5 million, almost didn't make it, almost lost the business. But in January, guess what we were doing? Cutting off all of our drop shipping accounts and went all in with what I describe in the Amazon jungle, this book over my left shoulder here. You have to be your own private label. You can't drop ship. And now it's literally against TOS. And so that was, I'm not the only one, frankly, that's lost millions of dollars of sales because of the A9 algorithm, but they will do it. They will not tell you that they're doing it. I was just lucky because of my long-standing relationships that someone was kind enough to tell me that I was officially screwed and there was nothing they could do about it. But A9 algorithm, it will make you or break you. That holiday season, I was broken. Took me a while to recover.
It can make or break you. And I think a lot of people only think of the algorithm in terms of the organic rank of their product. It's so much more. I mean, you talk about featured offer eligibility, right? Featured, what they used to call featured merchant status, the ability to win the buy box. So you have, clients that say, I'm the only seller of my product on Amazon and I can't win the buy box. Yeah, because Amazon's looking at an algorithm. Yeah. And so this proves your point, Jason. You can't make people happy. You can't call somebody at Amazon and say, can you give me featured merchant status? Technically, if there's an invitation there, that yes, they have the ability to escalate it, but 90% of the time you don't have that, option. And you've got to make the algorithm happy. You have to know what triggers the algorithm for good things and for bad things. And if you don't, man, it can burn you. And like you said, it can put you out of business.
Yeah, those performance metrics matter. Those reviews that people leave when they return a product matter. If you're not improving your product to minimize those return rates and your return rates are higher than somebody else's, you're in for a world of hurt. You know, what else am I forgetting here, Shannon? There's a whole laundry list of things that you have to perform immaculately. Otherwise, you're going to lose your business. One more comment about A9 algorithm. And I always love the context that we've had over the years. And I happened to have a conversation with Connor Foley, who is the founder of Downstream, an ad management tool that was later bought by Jungle Scout. Super smart guy, former Amazon. And I'm okay sharing this story with him because I asked him this question on a panel at Prosper Show, the Amazon Prosper Show. It really helped me understand something about the A9 algorithm. Even when I wrote the book, I felt that the key driver to organic search results rank in that A9 algorithm was sales. Because of that quote that I just mentioned, you know, Facebook, the Google, the Amazon quote. But in reality, Connor told me of a specific use case while working at Amazon that they had to fix. And here was the story. It was a Samsung tablet. And so the problem with the search results for if you went to Amazon and you search for Samsung tablet, what you would see in the search results was a bunch of Samsung tablet covers. And they overtook the search results because they were a lower price point. And they were probably getting more sales than the actual tablet, which was a much higher price point. And so because of that one use case, they had to change the ranking algorithm to also include clicks. So if you're searching for a Samsung tablet and you skipped all the covers and you clicked on the actual tablet, not the cover, then that would have given that tablet listing a higher ranking. Right. And so when Connor told me this, it literally blew my mind, and I had to go back and rewrite part of the book. But it's true. The two most important things, in my opinion, and based on that use case story that came from Amazon internally, clicks matter as much as sales now. I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a both, but definitely driving traffic to your listing from a search and or converting to sales is a really important driver. Now, what also gets people to add to the cart? It's the ratings, it's the product reviews, it's the price, it's the main image, all of those listing things that, you know, we do so well at Avenue 7 and that the top sellers do so well. But clicks and sales are a key driver to that A9 algorithm. It's something to remember and pay attention to.
Absolutely. And if you're getting clicks and no sales, not going to work. But to your point, you've got to pay attention to both. It's why the primary product image is so important to increase click-through rate when you're listed with a bunch of competitors on the search results page. Well, it goes to number 2, which is the bigger picture, which is for Amazon to take over 50% of all e-commerce market share. They could not do it by being people-oriented where, you know, Jason, you have a problem. Let me get somebody on the phone to help you with that. No, they had to algorithmically solve a problem. And we'll touch on this and then we'll, you know, delve more into it. But, you know, the way I look at it is if Amazon spots a problem, right? If there starts to become issues that get reported, whether it's customers, we'll talk about government agencies. If things start to come back to Amazon, Amazon does not say, let's hire a team and go ahead and figure out how to handle this individually. It's what algorithm can we put into place to handle this in mass? And, you know, one of the analogies I use, Jason, is, you know, you take hazmat, for example. But the point is that the algorithm doesn't care. And the algorithm doesn't care if you didn't actually, you know, comply with their policies or, you know, had a safety violation. If the algorithm, you know, gets you, you've got to have a system and a team and a way to get out of that, or you're going to be fighting bots for a long time. All right, so Jason, let's talk a little bit about how AI replaces people in those repetitive processes. I kind of alluded to this with my analogy, but how does AI replace people so that Amazon can scale as big and as fast and as massively as it has?
Shannon, I have a lot to say on AI. You know, we're not going to talk about all of it today. We may have to do a deep dive on artificial intelligence. One of the things that helps Amazon win is this artificial intelligence. I mean, there are so many examples. If they can replace a process with technology instead of a human being, they will do it.
100%.
And no one's done it better. Their warehousing systems, as an example, their FBA fulfillment centers as a system, not only are they incredibly AI based, they also have robotics that are also AI based. And so, you know, scanning for products or listings that violate an FTC rule.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you have hundreds of thousands of people do this process if you can build an AI tool to do it? Here's the problem with AI. AI is like a 6-year-old. I always say this, right? And my youngest daughter is 8 now. I used to say this all the time when she was 6. I said, look, I love my 6-year-old daughter, but I don't want her running my business just yet. There's certain things that she just doesn't get. And that's AI, right?
Right.
And so that's the problem with AI. But I don't know how many human beings and laborers and workers that AI replaces, but it's got to be literally in the tens of thousands, potentially the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
So that's good news if you're an Amazon stockholder. It's bad news if your product listing is the 2% of sellers affected by that AI not quite being perfect. Yeah. 2% out of 2 million sellers is about 40,000 sellers. And these are the horror stories that we hear all the time, Shannon. And our friends Chris McCabe and Leah McHugh over at E-commerce Chris and Rachel and Malia and on our team here all the time is, I don't know what happened. I was doing, 5,000 in sales a day yesterday, and today I'm doing nothing. It's kind of like back to my $5 million in lost holiday story. But that is really the problem with AI. It's helped Amazon become great, but boy, that error metric that programmers allow and the AI engineers allow is friggin' painful for sellers.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest complaint. When that happens, those 40,000 sellers should have somebody to talk to be able to sort this out, and they should be able to fix it quickly. But that's just not how they work.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going to say is, if the algorithm makes a mistake, you want a human being that can override it. And the challenge is Amazon also works from a very templated system. So once you get past the algorithm, right, Amazon flags your product as hazmat. It's not hazmat. You submit the appeal and you get back a templated email from somebody that if you submitted that same template to Amazon, they would reject it immediately, right?
Yeah.
But Amazon sends you back a templated denial and go, sorry, we need this information. You go, I just submitted that information. And the level of frustration and irritation, like I said, if you didn't cry or cuss last week, you're not selling on Amazon, because you're fighting with the algorithm. And we've got people, and you've got to have people. I don't care who you hire. You've got to have quality people who know how to deal with the systems, the people, and the technology at Amazon, or you cannot succeed.
That's right. Shannon, I'm going to do something weird. I'm going to say something positive about the AI system.
You should.
And I'm going to say something positive about the A9 algorithm as well. And it was brought to my attention because I was talking to a big, $100 million brand owner who had experience, like I have in the past, of selling a product or a line of products to a human buyer the old way, through a retail buyer, right? And we were having this conversation. He goes, the AI bots and the algorithm really pissed me off, but not nearly as much as me trying to kowtow to a human buyer with built-in bias to get them to buy my product. He goes, I actually prefer selling on Amazon compared to selling to a Walmart store buyer, for example. And I thought, man, that is really true. And a lot of those buyers I'm not talking about Walmart per se, but I have heard stories and I have experienced real life examples where those buyers are corrupt. And at the end of the day, how the hell is a buyer supposed to know what their consumer wants? It's just one person. They can't do what an algorithm can do. So, I hate to do it, Shannon, but I think I have to give Amazon some kudos here and say that this is probably in many ways a better system than trying to convince some human buyer who may have had a bad breakfast that day to buy your product, right?
Yeah, I think that's it's a fair point. And, we've got some great relationships with people who work at Amazon, who are current Amazon account executives, great people. And we've hired ex-Amazon executives. So I don't think in any way the challenges and frustrations that we feel or have are targeted at any individual at Amazon, but it is that sort of robotic mishap where,
look, nothing but love for Amazon employees.
The biggest challenge.
Amazon employees should all be given like honorary Marine status for what they have to do. It's really hard job. Each and every one of them have. But you're absolutely right. All right, Shannon, I know you got a lot to say about this next one. Number 3, hacks. Hacks. I'm a seller and I just watched a YouTube video. Some guy told me I can go from $0 to $100,000 in sales a month if I do this super secret trick that nobody knows about, Shannon. Tell me why I should not do that.
Well, this is called the Amazon flywheel hack. So basically what happens is somebody gets a really bright idea. They discover a loophole, right? Super URLs and all kinds of discount giveaways and reimbursements, just knuckleheaded stuff that we won't get into. People discover a loophole and then they figure out how to exploit it. And then they share it on social media. And then all these people get this bright idea that this is a great idea. I'm going to try this too, because it works temporarily. And once people start doing it in mass, what happens is Amazon gets wary, they get leery of it. They get wind of it. And because they've got such advanced algorithms and very, very smart people who work there, they find a way to do 2 things. They create a policy update and an AI update, right? So that algorithm update to basically shut down all of that.
And then comes the claw, the giant claw,
in some cases, back. They're going back and retroactively suspending and suppressing sellers who tried that and thought they could get away with it. I mean, there was something I heard about Amazon Live and they're like, oh, you should totally do this. And this is a prominent person. And the person that I talked to who knows Amazon Live policy said, not only are you not allowed to do that, but Amazon is going back and suspending all the seller accounts that did that for the past 6 months.
Yeah, so all that work goes down the toilet. Shannon.
All goes down.
Early on, I'm going to pick on Thrasio a little bit, who, by the way, was in the news recently.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Little haircut on their workforce. By the way, Avenue 7's hiring Thrasio, folks, if you're looking for a place to work. A new CEO over there. So I always had a problem with their model, Shannon, because of exactly what you're talking about. When I was talking to them back in 2018, when they were just getting started, they were buying product listings, a product, not brands at that point, products. And what was one of the key indicators of when they would buy a product? Review count. Mm-hmm. So you got a product, it's ranked top 5, top 3, you got 10,000, 15,000 reviews. They're like, this product is defensible, so we're going to buy it. And they bought a lot of them, a lot. Thousands and thousands and thousands of these kinds of products. But guess what? Once Amazon noticed and identified through some research, and by the way, from a lot of heat and pressure from the FTC, which we'll talk about in a second, they came out and they identified folks that had purchased reviews or given away product in exchange for reviews. And they went back to a lot of those listings that Thrasio bought and subtracted all of that moat that they thought that they had, that confusion, because the previous owners had violated terms of service. And they will do this and they will continue to do this and it won't stop. So if you think you can get away with it for 5 months, 6 months, a year, maybe you will, but eventually it will catch up to you. That's why we always encourage every seller to follow the damn rules. Read that TOS. I don't care how long it takes you. I know it's long. Read it and don't break the rules. If you get away with it today, you won't get away with it tomorrow.
I call this principle legitimacy for longevity. And the nice thing is most of my...
Nice alliteration, Shannon.
Thank you. Thanks.
Very
Jason.
Nice.
There's a reason you have me on the podcast in addition to my wit and charm.
I didn't know you're a poet and don't know it. I love it.
So legitimacy for longevity. But a lot of times what would happen is my clients, and I had coaching clients and consulting clients, Amazon would roll out with a new update and none of my clients would be affected because we already knew the intent of the rule. And if you're not sure, understand your goal and Amazon's intent. And if your goal is to try to bypass something or get around something, forget about it. We were at Prosper Show, Jason. I visited a booth and they pitched me something that was completely outside of TOS. And I'm thinking, these guys are at Prosper Show. Yeah. Their entire business is going to get shut down. And Amazon is going to find out every single person who signed up for their service, and they're going to go shut them down as well. So legitimacy for longevity. Jason, we alluded to this previously. You've mentioned the FTC. We've also got the FDA. There's other government agencies, right? Things get out of hand and government agencies get involved. Give us an example of what that looks like.
Yeah. FCC is another one. So I'll give you a really good example of a seller out of Nyack, New York, the Jewelry Spa Hot Tub. What a great guy this was. What a great character. I went and visited him one time at his office in Nyack, and he was straight Italian mafia look, right? Had the tracksuit, had the slick back hair, just a really great guy. And he developed and invented a really cool product called the Jewelry Spa Hot Tub, which is one of the greatest names of a product ever made. And
awesome.
so what this product did was it came with a solution that was, sort of similar to a dishwashing fluid. You put it into this jar that was, that was like sort of like a thermos jar. Before you put the jewelry, you put it into the microwave. You heat it up to a temperature that would kill germs, right? And so after that, you drop your jewelry into this little spinning thing. You drop it in, you pump it around, you swish it around, you take it out, you rinse it, and your jewelry literally looks brand new. It's an incredible product. I still have one. I use it to clean, my wife's rings and my rings whenever. But here's the problem. He launched right about the time that the EPA started yelling at Amazon and saying, you can't let sellers on your platform make claims that it kills germs unless they have an EPA registration. And so, we've got other clients that have EPA registrations for products that, kill germs and bacteria and stuff like that. Carlo didn't have that. And so, what he said was true, and he had testing to prove that it was true. But because he didn't have that EPA registration, he just never got off, never got it launched. And he frankly didn't have the money to go and do a prolonged EPA registration process. So it just, it killed his Amazon business before it got started. And it's really sad. I think ultimately the category manager for the jewelry category would have loved this product and would have been fine allowing it to be sold. But at the end of the day, the EPA came in and said, no. They developed an AI bot to take these things down. By the way, they called it a pesticide. It wasn't a pesticide, which really pissed Carlo off, right? But the EPA has like these pesticide rules. Anytime anything kills a bacteria or something like that, we had backpacks taken down. They were considered pesticides. Boy, talk to a seller who sells a backpack that doesn't have any antibacterial, that his product was taken down because it's a pesticide, and I will show you a really pissed off seller. But back to Carlo, look. This is what happened. I wish, in retrospect, if we were starting new, we probably could have helped him beforehand, knowing what we know now. But that's what happens. Amazon will make a change.
Yeah.
And if anything pisses me off about them more than anything is they don't tell people that the change is coming.
Sure. Jason, one of the LinkedIn posts that probably got more traction, and I put a smile emoji at the end, right? Because I want to have some fun with it. But I had an epiphany, and I was like, oh my God, that's so true. And so my epiphany was, Amazon is like a jealous ex-girlfriend that wants to date other people but won't let you see anybody else, takes all your money, and then refuses to return your phone calls and text messages. And people are like, oh my God, that's so true. And people just
by the way, I dated her before marrying Ann, I think.
People jumped on that and were posting things. My favorite comment was, Amazon is notorious for the I'm mad at you, but I'm not going to tell you why. And if you ask anybody in suspension, that's true. It's totally true. You're like, I thought we had a good relationship. And so the challenge is Amazon doesn't care about your feelings, right? They're not that, and
they don't give two shits about your feelings. They really don't. And neither do AI bots. They're incapable. They're literally incapable of recognizing that you have feelings, recognizing all of the hard work, capital, risk that you've put into developing your business. They just don't give a damn.
It's like
the sooner you realize that as a seller, the happier you will be as a seller.
It's like that great line from Jerry Maguire. She goes, "What did we agree to at the beginning of our relationship? Brutal truth." He goes, "I think you added the brutal part." So, look, Jason, before we wrap this up, is there anything else that you want to share with our audience to recap the episode and any key takeaways that you want to leave our audience with?
No, look, I just hope that this is helpful for our audience. I know it will be, especially if you're new to Amazon or you're stuck in that wheel of terror with them right now and you can't figure out why. If nothing else, this will help, be a little bit of a security blanket and a calming blanket for you as you cry yourself to sleep tonight. At least you'll know why. Sometimes knowing why is half the battle. Awareness is the first step, is always right. And so, look, I just hope this was helpful. But just in recapping, in the final analysis, Shannon, we're trying to arm our followers with information, right? And that's what we're doing. Just sort of recapping, it's the algorithm, right? You've heard that it's the economy stupid line from back in the Bill Clinton days. I'm dating myself. With Amazon, it's the algorithm stupid, and it's A9, damn it, not A10. AI, artificial intelligence, which is like a good, well-meaning 6-year-old, scales. And that's how Amazon has scaled. And there are a lot of bodies in their wake, and that's just how it is. Hacks, you are not smarter than Amazon. You are absolutely not smarter than Amazon. Hacks are short-term solutions that will give you long-term pain. Shannon, what's your poem? What is it? Tell us again.
Legitimacy for longevity.
Legitimacy for longevity. That's the way to go. Forget the hacks. Forget the hucksters that are pushing this stuff on TikTok or YouTube, and do the right thing. Lastly, you might want to be pissed at Amazon, but really the source of some of those things are really federal agencies. And frankly, there's exceptions to every rule, of course, but if the federal agencies are asking Amazon to take action, it's really not them. And you should probably do it anyway, because something bad happened a long time ago, decades ago, that required legislators to take action and pass a law. I know that's sort of an anathema to today's politicians, but really, federal agencies are behind a lot of this. And then lastly, if you think you're going to have pain and suffering and you're going to get a sympathetic ear on the phone at Amazon that's going to change everything just for you, you're wrong. The sooner you forget about that, and the sooner you look at them as sort of this, process-oriented organization that only cares about the customer, the sooner you can fix whatever that's causing you pain, and the sooner you can have success. So, I think we'll sum it up there, Shan.
Yeah, Jason, actually the one other thing that I wanted to mention is, we talk about responsibility. You mentioned agencies, the algorithm, but unethical sellers who do unethical things are also responsible. A lot of the challenges, the policy updates, the algorithm updates were because people blatantly tried to take advantage, and that's made everybody else's life more difficult. So we can't just push back on Amazon and say, Amazon, it's your fault. Amazon is trying to protect its customers. And when sellers try to violate that protection and violate that security, Amazon comes back and they make it harder for everybody. So
Shannon, we should have had 6 points here. That was a good one. Why didn't you get it in the notes? That's a great one. No, you're right. You're right. Bad actors are making it hard on everybody, and they should stop immediately.
Yeah.
Or we'll throat punch them. So, we'll just leave it at that.
All right. Okay, so Jason, if people are experiencing the issues that we've discussed today, whether it's struggles with the algorithm, whether it's getting flagged as hazmat or pesticides, they're trying to figure out how to do all this right in line with Amazon policy and TOS, even if they have done it poorly in the past, what's their next step? What's their next move?
Yeah, look, if you're ready to sort of unscrew what's been done, or you're looking to start growing your brand on Amazon, reach out to us. We've got a team of experienced Amazon operators, former sellers like me and Shannon, tons of former ex-Amazon folks who can help you. Just reach out to us at day2podcast.com. That's the word day, the number 2 podcast.com. Lastly, and finally, if you know of anyone else who would gain value from this podcast, please share it with them. Let them know we're speaking truth at the Day 2 podcast, and we look forward to having them follow and joining our listener group. Thank you, and we'll see you online.